All right, so are you thinking about getting an EV? Well, I am an EV owner and I really want to share with you guys my experience with having an EV, and maybe it can help you guys make decisions if you are looking into buying an EV. Stick around, I'm going to give you guys everything I can about owning an EV from my perspective. What's up, everybody? This is your main homie, eddiefndiaz. I've owned a Chevy Bolt. It's a 2023, and I've owned it since the end of 2022. So I've had it for several years now. I do drive a lot. I drive for Uber, so I have to charge almost on the daily, and my vehicle in particular takes about an hour to get to 80%. There's a lot of new cars out there that charge in 15 minutes. If you are interested in buying an EV, I highly suggest looking for a car that has fast charging and that's relatively quick. I'm not talking about an hour like a Chevy Bolt. I would say like a Tesla or an Ioniq. I think a lot of EVs are starting to drop a little bit, and they have those incentives. People are not buying them anymore. They are cool, but they're not the end all be all. I want to talk about charging real quick. So within my 3 years of owning this car, I've seen a very steady increase in the cost of charging. I used to pay at minimum like 21 cents for a kilowatt. Now I'm paying about 40 cents a kilowatt, and that's during good hours. So I used to pay $9 for a charge. Now I'm paying almost 19-20 bucks for a charge. That's a big increase, and it seems like it's only getting bigger. Before you buy an EV, you should definitely check on all the charging apps and see what the costs are, see if it makes sense to you, and see if you have a good infrastructure. I live in Long Beach. It's a part of LA County, and there are chargers everywhere, which make it a little bit easier, because if I go to the gym, there's a charger there. And if I go out to eat, there's most likely a charger there. So the infrastructure is really great. I used to experience where there were no electric cars, especially Bolts and all these different stuff. It was always Tesla. So Teslas would charge at Tesla stations. With the increase in people purchasing EVs, I have seen a little bit of a bottleneck, but I think that's starting to disappear in my area because I'm starting to notice a lot more chargers. I used to have to wait for chargers. Now that's not really an issue because there's just more. But definitely the price has really gotten me to rethink about EVs. Let's talk about range anxiety. It is a real thing up until you take your car to about 2 miles. Once you take your car to about 2 miles and you realize like, okay, this is not that bad, then eventually you take your battery to the very end and it doesn't really become a thing. I usually drive to take my girlfriend back home, who lives about an hour and a half away. It's about 120 miles, right? And there's a huge hill. And so when I take my car, I need to have it at least to 80%. If I can, I'll get a full charge. And going up the hill, I waste so much electricity. But coming down the hill, a lot of times I'm recharging and I'm getting whatever mileage that's going downhill for free. So there are ups and downs to it, but honestly, traveling with an EV vehicle is very, very difficult. I did take one road trip in my car. I went up to Monterey, which I think was like 450 miles. And at the time, I didn't really know how to drive my car. I would have the heater full blast, right? And I was just driving fast, and I had to charge like 3 times. It was absolutely atrocious. But looking back at it now, if you have an EV, you really cannot drive freeways for very long. It's really what wastes your battery. But if you can coast and just kind of get a good mile per hour where it's like 50, 60, 55, 65, my battery tends to last a little longer. It's not fun taking a car on a road trip unless you get something that fast charging. 15 minutes to charge 80% on some of these new cars is a huge difference. Go to there's a McDonald's or something, right? There's a charger there. You just go get a meal, you charge up, and you're out of there in like 20 minutes or however long you're there to eat. So the new EVs are definitely getting so much better, and maybe I would think about a newer one, but if you drive a lot and you don't have a home charger, it's just so difficult to have an EV. Now, used or new, I think that there is a lot of wear and tear that can go into an electric car if you buy something high mileage. Like, I don't know, I think they can go for like 100 and 120 before things start really breaking down. But the thing is, an EV, if it breaks down somewhere, it's going to be expensive. It just is. The parts are just different. There's just, if you're, I don't know, like you don't have a transmission go out, you have a motor go out. That's different. So I haven't experienced that yet. My 2023 Chevy Bolt has about 62,000 miles, and I'm already hearing some of the shocks kind of squeak. I also haven't really serviced it. I've never done an oil change. I got a couple alignments done and new tires, and that's it. So I haven't had to take it to the dealership in a long time. That's pretty freaking dope. So it does save you a little bit there, but I tell you guys, once something goes out, it's going to be pricey. But if you do want to get new, it's pretty cool. You know, you can take that thing for 100,000 miles or however long you want. I think a sweet spot, if you don't plan on keeping the EV, definitely a lease, because you can give it back and just not worry about those long-term damages that you're going to leave on your car. If I could go back and if I was thinking about getting an EV, I would definitely try to find something used, because the market for EVs has tanked. People don't want them. They don't want to deal with the charge. They don't want to deal with the road trip headaches. So there's a lot of EVs out there that are on the low, especially like Teslas. I would not mind a Tesla. I used to drive a Tesla for Uber, and I'll tell you right now, autopilot or whatever was a game changer, especially like just driving long trips. I took that Tesla to Vegas, and both ways I just had the autopilot on and it just drove, and I was chilling. It made driving home so much better. So that's one thing. If I could go back, I would have probably just stuck with the Model 3, just the basic low entry model, because that would get you everywhere. My verdict, as of right now, with my situation, I am looking to actually try to pay my car a little bit more, and I want to just trade it in, because for me, charging every day about an hour is just hell. Like for the first year and a half, I was able to bear it, but it gets old so fucking fast. Again, I don't have a place at home where I can charge it, so I do have to go to these chargers. Maybe it would be different if I lived in an apartment, because I don't take my car. I've went on one road trip, and the furthest that I have to drive out is within one charge. So, you know, how often do you drive? I will say this though, the tech that's coming out in ICE motors, you know, in gas motors, yeah, these new gas vehicles are actually pretty cool, and their tech is as good as these electric vehicles. So that's pretty sick. But yeah, I hope, you know, if anyone is out there who's thinking about getting a electric vehicle, I hope that this helped you some way, somehow. Shit, if it helped you decide on something, let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about EVs? I want to know your guys' opinions. I'm eddiefndiaz, and please like, share, and subscribe, and I'm out.